Legend of Exorcism. Chapter 97. An erotic scene. Hung Jun hugged that broad back as he was kissed breathless by Li Jinglong, and as Li Jinglong's entire body came down on top of his, he ground down against Hung Jun with those long legs that were covered by his pants. The two of them were already caught in the throes of passion, and Li Jinglong impatiently disrobed, divesting himself in an instant of his own outer robe before moving to take off Hung Jun's. Hung Jun grew nervous at that, and he said, "No. I've already seen it before." Li Jinglong lowered his head to look at Hung Jun's collar bones, before sliding his gaze up, staring into his eyes. "What are you so bashful for? Haven't you been drooling every time you see Gag?" Saying this, Li Jinglong hugged Hung Jun with one hand, making him stand up on the carpet. He gestured for him to stand properly, then took 2 steps back and untied his inner robe to reveal his chest, before undoing his belt, dropping his pants to the ground. In an instant, he stood fully naked in front of Hung Jun. Li Jinglong had a powerfully built body of lithe muscle. His waistline was narrow, and his abs were clearly defined, and the lines of his muscled abdomen were very beautiful. Between his legs was that huge object that was still as uncomparably shocking to Hung Jun as it had been in previous days, and since it had been pent up for a while, there was already liquid leaking from the tip. For a moment, Hung Jun's gaze was transfixed by this strong and beautiful thing, and Li Jinglong continued to stand there completely naked, facing him without a shred of awkwardness. Under Hung Jun's gaze, it began to rise. "Strip," Li Jinglong said. "Strip completely." Hung Jun's heart beat wildly as he stood in front of Li Jinglong, untying his inner robe to reveal his chest, before undoing his belt. The two of them stood with just a few steps of distance between them, both of them without a shred of clothing on, their gazes wandering over each other. Hung Jun's youthful body was slim but powerful, his skin was fair, and though his cock wasn't as thick and long as Li Jinglong's, it was still filled with vigorous masculine energy. Under Li Jinglong's considering gaze it had already risen to point directly at him. Li Jinglong had the build of a warrior and the grace of a cheetah, and that penis of his was thick and majestic, and after staring at each other for a while, Li Jinglong said, "Come here." Hung Jun took a few steps forward before Li Jinglong grabbed his hand and tugged him into his embrace. He then tilted his body, glancing at the full-length mirror in the room. The two naked people in the mirror were pressed so tightly together that there was no sliver of space left between them. Hung Jun's head spun as he looked at them, so he buried his face in Li Jinglong's shoulder, tilting his head just the slightest bit to watch their reflections in the mirror. "Are you still bashful now?" Li Jinglong asked quietly. Hung Jun was, a little, but now that he had been gazed at from the tip of his head to the bottom of his feet, he felt in an instant that he had nothing to hide anymore. Li Jinglong then reached out a hand to caress him, first touching his chest, then moving downwards to his abdomen, before grasping Hung Jun's cock in his hand. Hung Jun's entire face had already turned bright red from the stroking. "Why aren't you touching me?" Li Jinglong asked. Hung Jun breathed rapidly, and with one hand he grabbed Li Jinglong's thing. Li Jinglong asked, "Do you like it?" Hung Jun nodded his head a little, before Li Jinglong picked him up, laying him down on the bed facing him. At that moment, Hung Jun's emotions were uninhibited, and he pressed himself against that body. Last time, Li Jinglong had used only his hand, but he had still managed to figure out Hung Jun's sensitive points. Hung Jun had remembered that clearly and had thought about it again and again, countless times. "You should touch me," Hung Jun said in a small voice. He wanted Li Jinglong to wrap his hand around it again and stroke him. "I won't," Li Jinglong said seriously. "What is there to touch? You want Gag to touch you every day, you little rogue." Hung Jun's face immediately flushed red, but then Li Jinglong switched to a tactic that had him so red in the face his nose almost bled. Li Jinglong lined up his own thick, hard penis with Hung Jun's, and the two rods rubbed together. That feeling was more comfortable compared to when it was just a hand around his cock, and it felt more direct, drawing moans out of him. Is Gig big? Big. Hung Jun's lower abdomen was covered with fluid from their grinding, and he didn't know if it had come from himself or Li Jinglong. Li Jinglong pressed him down and kissed him non-stop, intertwining their tongues, and with this kiss, Hung Jun could only uncontrollably hug Li Jinglong tightly. The two of them kissed until they were almost breathless, as if they wanted to meld the other into their own body. Hung Jun felt that he was close, and he pressed one hand down on Li Jinglong's chest to give himself a little space. He calmly gazed at Li Jinglong's handsome face, and he couldn't help but remember the dream of their childhood. He reached out a hand to gently caress the side of that face, and it was as if, from the time the dreamscape was set in until now, those 10 years of light and shadow had all passed in the blink of an eye. "What are you thinking about?" Li Jinglong asked. "Thinking of you," Hung Jun smiled, before hooking his arms around Li Jinglong's neck and moving up to kiss him again. After kissing for a while, Li Jinglong asked in a low voice, "Can I put it in?" Hung Jun. "Put it in? Put it into where?" Hung Jun asked. "What?" "Put it in the back," Li Jinglong said, his voice low. "Stick it in." Hung Jun remembered that before, Li Jinglong had explained it to him in terms he understood, and he was embarrassed, but in that embarrassment was a sliver of indescribable pleasure. He swallowed before nodding, and Li Jinglong asked again, "You're letting me put it in?" Yeah, Hung Jun answered, filled with anxiety, uncertainty, and a little bit of anticipation, as if he could feel the depth of love that Li Jinglong felt for him. "How are you putting it in?" Hung Jun reached a hand out to once again stroke at Li Jinglong's cock, thinking that it was completely impossible to fit in. Li Jinglong blindly groped around the clothing strewn on the floor, before digging out a small container of something that he had bought on the market on the pier just now, and Hung Jun asked, "What's this?" "Ointment." Li Jinglong used his finger to swipe some out, rubbing it into the palm of Hung Jun's hand, motioning that he should clutch his cock in his hand and spread it around, and said, "Cover it completely." Hung Jun's face was red to his ears as he first slathered it over Li Jinglong's cock, then used his fingers to roughly approximate the size. It was almost a chi in length. This was really too big. Li Jinglong started to grow a little embarrassed, even as he spread the spare ointment in the middle between Hung Jun's ass cheeks. "Please take care of me," Li Jinglong said teasingly. Hung Jun hadn't thought that he would suddenly utter such a phrase, and he laughed loudly in response. Li Jinglong hugged him and pressed their foreheads together, affectionately saying, "Bear with it." Hung Jun said, "All right, come in." Li Jinglong's blood was boiling, and that thing was also extremely stiff as it pressed between Hung Jun's legs. With a slight push, it opened him up, and Hung Jun immediately felt intense pain. "Ah!" Hung Jun shouted. It hurts." "Bear with it just a little longer." "No way, it hurts too much." Li Jinglong pushed in a little further, and Hung Jun, who wasn't expecting it to be this painful, started to shout loudly in extreme pain. Hung Jun felt that he was almost split open, and Li Jinglong could only slowly pull out again. "Hung Jun." Li Jinglong then began to chuckle, saying, "It's fine, next time ba." Hung Jun demanded, "Why is it so painful?" Li Jinglong felt a little helpless, and he kissed the side of Hung Jun's face, as if he had foreseen this very outcome of his actions. Hung Jun asked, "Does it hurt this much for other people?" "I haven't done it with anyone else." Li Jinglong was torn between laughing and crying. "How would I know about other people?" Hung Jun still felt some residual pain, and he said, "Did you get it wrong? Are there other places where it can go in?" Li Jinglong responded. Hung Jun thought, "Yeah, true," and said, "Again, let's try it one more time." He was a little dissatisfied, and presently Li Jinglong hugged him again, pressing in tentatively, but Hung Jun felt that it hurt even more. It was almost like torture, and he hurried to beg for mercy from Li Jinglong. When he begged for mercy, Li Jinglong really wanted to ravage him for a bit, but he also couldn't bear to actually bully Hung Jun, so he could only back out again. Sorry. Li Jinglong and Hung Jun said helplessly at the same time. Hung Jun began to smile, and said, "What are you sorry about?" "It's too big," Li Jinglong said. "There's no way." Hung Jun said, "No, I really like it." The first attempt had failed, and as Li Jinglong sat there, it had softened a little. Hung Jun then kneeled down and sat in his lap, kissing his lips, and with one hand he reached out to feel his crotch, before murmuring into his ear, "I really like it. When I first saw it at the walking pool, I liked it even then." Li Jinglong's cock was thick and large and powerful, and it really gave a youth like Hung Jun a sense of admiration. "You just like the big ones," Li Jinglong kissed Hung Jun's neck and said. Hung Jun kissed Li Jinglong's ear. The most sensitive part of Li Jinglong's body was the shell of his ear, and with this kiss from Hung Jun, he grew hard once more, and he hugged Hung Jun as they both sprawled downwards, grinding down insistently on his body. Hung Jun's arms were wrapped around his back, and as he let Li Jinglong press him down, he panted, "Maybe if you're a little softer it can go in." "It can't get softer." Li Jinglong's breaths were growing rougher, and although he couldn't going, he was hugging such a beautiful youth, and their bare muscles were rubbing against each other, which was a feeling that set his veins ablaze, especially in the places where Hung Jun was stroking, his back, waist, and hips. This feeling made Li Jinglong grow more excited, and the two of them ground against each other for a while, before Li Jinglong couldn't control it anymore, shooting directly onto Hung Jun's abdomen. With an "ah," Hung Jun touched his own body, and his fingers encountered a slippery stickiness along the skin from his abdomen to his chest. Li Jinglong was still panting slightly as he said, "I couldn't hold it anymore, I came." Hung Jun's thing was still hard and erect, and he sniffed at Li Jinglong's semen as his face turned red. Li Jinglong used his hand to wipe up the fluid that he had shot onto Hung Jun's body, and he put his hand to his own lips. "No." Hung Jun hurried to stop Li Jinglong, but he didn't expect Li Jinglong to give him a kiss then, feeding all of the semen into Hung Jun's mouth. "Hung Jun. Swallow it," Li Jinglong smiled. "If I can't come inside you, then I'll make you eat it all." Hung Jun swallowed it all down and looked at Li Jinglong with a bright red face. Li Jinglong smiled, "Good boy." And saying this, he came up once again to kiss him. Hung Jun had yet to come, and after being hugged and kissed for a while, he felt a surge of arousal that had no outlet, and he said, "I also want." Li Jinglong purposefully teased him, "What do you want?" To come. Hung Jun was already beyond the point of caring, and he said, "Let me grind a little," before moving to stroke that huge dragon dangling from Li Jinglong's crotch once again. "Let me go in once again." Li Jinglong's cock had once again stiffened somewhat, but after coming once, it was no longer as hard and erect as before. Hung Jun was still debating, when Li Jinglong added, "I won't hurt you." Hung Jun then n-ed. After the 2 tries just now, his ass didn't hurt that much anymore, and this time, Li Jinglong was extremely careful, first pressing there without moving, before lapping Hung Jun's nipple and talking to him. "Where do you like Gag playing with you the most?" Li Jinglong asked quietly. Hung Jun grew excited from this question, but he was still a little ashamed, and he bravely bore the pain from his backside as he said in a small voice, "Right there." "Do you know where I like to play with you the most?" Li Jinglong said, in an equally small voice. Hung Jun couldn't stop panting. He felt that even though Li Jinglong had come once, that thing was still huge, and when it first entered him he was a little unable to breathe properly, and it hurt unbelievably. "It's also here," Li Jinglong said quietly. "And also that part down there, where I just went in." Hung Jun swallowed down his saliva before saying, so painful." He felt that Li Jinglong had forced open his own body, and the pain had him deeply furrowing his brows, bitterly enduring it. Just a little went in, Li Jinglong stopped in his movements, pulling back a little, before thrusting forward a little deeper. Hung Jun hurried to say, "Don't move. It hurts so much." Li Jinglong then stopped in his movements, kissing him non-stop before pushing in a little deeper. This time, Hung Jun could bear it a little better, but he felt that this kind of dry entry was akin to torture. What could be pleasurable about it? But then, suddenly, the entire boat jolted, pressing Li Jinglong and Hung Jun together. In that instant Hung Jun felt Li Jinglong thrust harshly into him, and he let out a loud shout. They had set sail. That one push squeezed the tears out of Hung Jun's eyes. Li Jinglong also never expected this turn of events. The boat setting sail had actually helped him, and as he was sheathed inside of Hung Jun's body, he said, "The boat moved, I didn't do it on purpose." Hung Jun said. "You're all the way in." "No," Li Jinglong breathed. "Just half, does it still hurt?" That harsh thrust had caused Hung Jun severe pain, but it didn't last for very long. After resting for a while, he actually felt that it wasn't that painful anymore, and he breathed, It's a little better." Li Jinglong then began to slowly thrust in and out, and Hung Jun immediately felt that within that pain there arose an odd feeling. Li Jinglong's rod was currently rubbing against his insides, and when he went particularly deep, it seemed to squeeze a nerve inside his body, giving him the sensation of wanting to pee yet not being able to release it. As Li Jinglong's thrusts got steadily deeper, Hung Jun was so uncomfortable that he began to moan. "Is it comfortable?" Li Jinglong watched Hung Jun's bright red face and the tears that had collected in the corners of his eyes, and his scalp tingled as the blood roared in his veins. So uncomfortable. Hung Jun squeezed his eyes shut. That feeling came over him bit by bit, like waves washing over his whole body. Uncomfortable. As Li Jinglong thrust in, he used his hand to stroke Hung Jun's cock, and instantly Hung Jun felt it. Li Jinglong had thrust into him a few times, and his own cock had actually stiffened in turn. Hung Jun reached his hand out to stroke his own thing, and Li Jinglong stroked it with his fingers as he continued to thrust between Hung Jun's legs. Hung Jun's thing was so hard and erect that it began to leak precum, and along with the increasing intensity of Li Jinglong's thrusts, it leaked non-stop. "Hung Jun. This feels good, right?" Hung Jun already didn't know how to describe that feeling, which was different from the one that he felt when they were both naked and groping each other. Li Jinglong thrust his huge rod unceasingly into Hung Jun's body, and the action of pushing in seemed to spark a certain giddiness in his heart. As his body was subject to that incessant stimulation, that feeling became especially clear. "Hey," Li Jinglong used one arm to hug Hung Jun's waist, and peering into his eyes, said, "How come you've become so wanton?" I haven't," Hung Jun breathed. Li Jinglong hugged him and said, "Call me Gag." Gag," Hung Jun moaned. Li Jinglong then asked, "Does it still hurt?" as he tenderly thrust in and out. "Hung Jun. Do you like it?" Li Jinglong asked quietly. "Do you like Gag thrusting into you like this?" Saying this, he then tenderly kissed his lips. Hung Jun only felt that the thrusting down below overlapped with Li Jinglong's love for him, melding into an intense feeling of passion, and he was unable to control his own emotions in response as he moaned, "I like it, What feeling is this? I can't hold on anymore." Li Jinglong murmured, "Pay close attention to that feeling, that's me loving you." And saying this, Li Jinglong once again kissed Hung Jun's lips, increasing the speed of his thrusts below, and Hung Jun couldn't stop trembling, to the point where he couldn't even moan anymore. Tears dripped reflexively from the corners of his eyes, and with a few more thrusts, pleasure overtook his entire body, comfortably wrapping itself along his spine. Li Jinglong seemed to have felt it too, and he temporarily paused to let Hung Jun rest. Staring into those eyes, he quietly murmured, "It feels really good when the front and the back get stimulated at the same time, doesn't it?" Hung Jun panted, You're such a jerk, you're bullying me." Hung Jun felt that after Li Jinglong took off his clothes, he had become more beastly than an actual beast. You don't like it? Li Jinglong asked quietly as he considered him, fond love shining through his eyes, and he said, if you don't like it, then I won't bully you anymore. I like it, Hung Jun said. You should, bully me a bit more. Tell me more, Li Jinglong said quietly. How should I bully you? Stick, stick, Hung Jun's face flushed red as he spoke that word. I should then do what? Li Jinglong kissed Hung Jun's ear, and Hung Jun's entire body melted at that as he moaned, stick it in me a few more times. Hearing this, Li Jinglong drew close to his body again before thrusting deeply inside once more, and Hung Jun couldn't help but make an ah sound. That shuddering cry was filled with pleasure and pleasant surprise, and Li Jinglong was instantly overtaken by his bestial desire, wrenching his head to the side, their lips meeting once again as he increased the speed at which he was fucking Hung Jun. Hung Jun was kissed until he could only let out constant "wvs," and he dug his hands into Li Jinglong's strong arms, his two legs wrapped around Li Jinglong's trim waist. Li Jinglong didn't stop for even a second, even after almost 100 thrusts, and towards the end, Hung Jun fought free of Li Jinglong's kiss, loudly moaning, his entire body trembling, as he felt himself completely lose control. I can't hold it in anymore, ah. 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 But what came out was not pee, but rather semen. That complete, uninhibited arousal accompanied Hung Jun's several spasms, and his unimaginably stiff penis twitched as the white fluid spurted messily onto his chest and abdomen. When he came, his back passage also clenched in time with the twitches, causing Li Jinglong to also let out a low moan. Hung Jun felt Li Jinglong also come, and that simultaneous rush of pleasure lent him the satisfaction of drowning in love. Not long after, Li Jinglong breathed in deeply, pushing up on his arms to watch Hung Jun, before kissing him again. Hung Jun was tired beyond belief, his entire body limp, and the redness on his neck and chest had yet to dissipate as he watched Li Jinglong with dazed eyes. I love you. Li Jinglong said. I also love you, Hung Jun looked directly into Li Jinglong's eyes, and quietly responded. I love you, Li Jinglong repeated. I know, Hung Jun began to smile. I love you. Li Jinglong shouted towards Hung Jun. I love you, you hear me? Li Jinglong's expression was a little enraged, but it also held a little happiness, as if he had returned to his childhood. Hung Jun also loudly replied, I know. Hurry and pull out, Hung Jun pushed at Li Jinglong's chest. No, Li Jinglong said, his face blank of any expression. Hung Jun. Li Jinglong wrapped around Hung Jun's waist, sending it a little deeper, and Hung Jun hurried to beg for mercy. No, no, it doesn't feel good anymore. I won't move, Li Jinglong responded. I'll just hug you like this for now. Li Jinglong evidently didn't want to pull out this time, not after the failures that were the first and the second time and the difficulty of this third time, in order to prevent his advances from being rejected by Hung Jun once again next time. After Hung Jun came, he already couldn't feel anything anymore, he just wanted to rest, but Li Jinglong didn't want to leave. Do you love me or not? Li Jinglong threatened. Hung Jun could only let him stay inside like this. Thankfully, after the 2 times that Li Jinglong had come, he had softened quite a bit, and as long as he didn't move, it wasn't too painful. Li Jinglong then laid down on his side, letting Hung Jun press a leg over his waist as he tightly hugged him. He then moved it in a little further, staying as far in as he could. Hung Jun panted for a little before he recovered some energy. Li Jinglong kissed him again, saying, let's chat. Chat about what? Hung Jun was currently thinking of ways to get this sly fellow out of his own body. About you missing me and stuff like that, Li Jinglong responded. Do you like Gag more now? Hung Jun caressed his face and said, I like you even more now. Just now they had both been caught up in the heat of the moment, but now that he was thinking about it, he had forgotten something, what they did was quite an extravagant act. Then how about you marry me, Li Jinglong said seriously. Hung Jun's breathing grew fast, and Li Jinglong added, if you don't say anything, that means you've agreed. At the same time, Hung Jun felt that Li Jinglong's cock inside of him had grown hard again. Pull out first, Hung Jun begged. You're hard again. Li Jinglong pressed him down on his side, slightly leaning his weight on him, and he said, promise me that you'll be my wife. Hung Jun opened his eyes wide. Li Jinglong actually began to thrust imperiously into him for the second time. That feeling when Hung Jun came the first time returned once again. Okay, Hung Jun said. Li Jinglong hugged him tightly, pressing close to him, and said, what do you have to call me? Hung Jun responded, call you what, ah. Li Jinglong thought about it, before saying, better to keep calling me Gag, now call me that. Gee, Gag, that feeling washed over Hung Jun again, but his body already felt very tired, and he said, no more. Li Jinglong lifted him into a sitting position, and he himself laid down, letting Hung Jun straddle his waist, and said, do it yourself. If you're too tired, then don't bother. Hung Jun straightened his back and sat, reaching behind him with a hand to feel, and when he found that Li Jinglong's thing that was stuck so deep inside him was only halfway in, his scalp tingled at that discovery. He wanted to push Li Jinglong out, but when he left his body, Hung Jun felt a sense of emptiness. He couldn't stand it, so he sat down again, letting that huge thing fill his body again. Li Jinglong smiled and said, you still want more? Hung Jun was conflicted beyond belief, and Li Jinglong added, if you want it then go for it, move on your own. With a red face, Hung Jun squatted on Li Jinglong's waist, and with his forehead deeply furrowed, he felt that Li Jinglong was pressing up against that spot in his own body that made him go numb. Li Jinglong just shoved his legs further apart, wrapping his hands around Hung Jun's waist, letting him lean forward and slide back more easily. Hung Jun began to shout loudly as the movement, which was exceedingly direct, had Li Jinglong's thing pressing up against his prostate every time, rubbing fiercely against it, and after a few times of this, Hung Jun's entire body began to shake, and he began to beg for mercy while moaning. Li Jinglong indicated for Hung Jun to turn around, with his back facing him while they were still linked, and his two hands reached from behind to pull apart Hung Jun's legs. They were both facing the mirror now, and Li Jinglong indicated for him to take a look. When Hung Jun looked, he saw himself with his legs spread wide apart, with the cock between his legs once again erect, and Li Jinglong's rod still inserted in him from below. He felt a wave of extreme shame wash over him, and he tilted his head to the side. Don't be like this. Can Gag go in all the way? Li Jinglong kissed his lips briefly and asked quietly. When Hung Jun didn't respond, Li Jinglong lifted his hips, shoving that entire cock into Hung Jun's body. Hung Jun. Hung Jun's eyes widened as he felt that Li Jinglong's thing had already passed through his rectum, slowly pressing up against the nerves at the end of it, and as the tip pressed against the far end, it seemed to be pushing something open. No more. Hung Jun begged loudly. It's too deep, no, wait. Li Jinglong held his breath. Hung Jun didn't dare to move unnecessarily, feeling that inside his body, Li Jinglong had pushed directly into another mysterious place deeper inside. He continued to push all the way through, and sheathed less than half of himself firmly in the bottom of his intestines. Hung Jun. Li Jinglong's thing was already 2/3 of the way in, and Hung Jun at first felt that his stomach hurt from the constant pressure, but in an instant, another strange wave of arousal washed over him, as if something in his body had been pushed open by Li Jinglong. Does it hurt? Li Jinglong asked. When he saw Hung Jun straighten up, he was also a little concerned. Hung Jun was also confused as to what he was feeling, and he could only say, "You've gone in too far." Li Jinglong began to slowly thrust, and in an instant Hung Jun began to cry out loudly. Being thrust into by Li Jinglong gave him an odd feeling of satisfaction, and that initial feeling of his prostate being hammered disappeared, now replaced by the feeling of compressing and opening along the deeper bundle of nerves there. That arousal immediately swept up to his scalp as he lost track of time in fits and starts with that pulsing. Li Jinglong saw Hung Jun's reaction, and it was as if he had turned his entire body over to Li Jinglong. He didn't dare to be too rough, listening to his commands, gently thrusting, and Hung Jun switched between losing track of things and turning his head to watch Li Jinglong. His lips were slightly parted and his eyes were unfocused, his head spun, and his eyes were glazed, and Li Jinglong couldn't help but kiss him firmly. After who knows how long, Hung Jun moaned, I'm going to come. Li Jinglong swallowed, and he said quietly, together. I'll give it to you, I'll give it all to you. Right after, Li Jinglong increased the pace, and Hung Jun came first, white fluid coming out, and Li Jinglong rubbed a finger in Hung Jun's semen before lifting it to his mouth. Hung Jun's consciousness was already blurred, so he automatically sucked and licked at the finger in his mouth. Li Jinglong felt Hung Jun sucking on his finger, and his arousal peaked as he came inside Hung Jun. Who? This time Li Jinglong slowly pulled out. Hung Jun felt that this time he had gone in so deep that his stomach hurt a little, and he said, you went in too far. Next time I won't play around like this. Li Jinglong also felt that he had gone a little too far, and he hugged Hung Jun, kissing him, and said, I love you. I love you so much, Hung Jun moaned. That last time had him wholly, unreservedly, giving all of himself over to Li Jinglong, and even after they were done he still felt wave after wave of aftershocks washing over him. Look out the window. Li Jinglong said. We've left Chang'an. Nah. Hung Jun burrowed into Li Jinglong's chest, saying, so tired. Do you want to stick it in gig? With one arm, Li Jinglong hugged Hung Jun, and he quietly said, for you, I would do anything, and it doesn't matter who sticks it in who. With a pu sound, Hung Jun began to laugh. He buried his head on Li Jinglong's chest, tilting his face up to glance up at him from the side, his eyes still filled with a sort of drunken happiness. Li Jinglong kissed him again on the face, before pulling the blanket over. Not right now, Hung Jun said. End chapter. Legend of Exorcism. Chapter 98. Two birds, one stone. Within the city of Chang'an, at daybreak, after the exorcism department had been sealed for investigation, everyone had no choice but to move about within the amber of Lanling wine shop. And news that Li Jinglong had left the city had not spread yet, so on this day, Li Hung sent someone to summon them to the judiciary department, so that they could be questioned one by one. The news that he received was the same from each of them. They didn't know where the criminal had escaped to, and Hung Jun had also gone missing. Li Hung also vaguely guessed at some of what had happened. It was more likely than not that Li Jinglong had headed off to investigate the truth and clear his name. Not long after, because of Yang Kuozhong's subtle hints, this matter was gradually suppressed. But how are we supposed to investigate now? Ashinakayang asked. Before Zhenji left, he didn't give us detailed instructions. Amorigin thought deeply for a moment, before saying, En Lushan lives in his army's camp, in the northwestern corner of the city. The first thing we have to do is sneak into his camp and find the artifact protecting him. After Li Jinglong had left, the group discussed their plans for another night. Atai briefly outlined what Li Guinayan had told him, only omitting the part about the sacred flame and their connection. Amorigin pondered for a long time, before he spread open the map, saying, since we suspect the sacred flame is within Lushan, we must take a risk and sneak into the enemy's camp first. But the protective artifact that in Lushan has can't be found so easily, so we'll need more time. I have a plan, hear me out on this. This was the first time that Li Jinglong had left the exorcism department and let the rest of them take care of the case, and this time, their opponent was in Lushan to boot. Usually, though these exorcists were not lacking in ability, they had long since become accustomed to following Li Jinglong's plans, and were too lazy to use their brains. Either way, Zhenji's planning would take every possibility into account, and his strategy would never fail. All they had to do was follow it. Since their immediate superior had left, that forced them to have no choice but to think of ways on their own. At that, spurred on by Lu Su and Hung Jun's dreamscape, Amorigin racked his brains for an entire night, coming up with an elaborate, multi-stage plan. He thought that everyone would clap their hands and proclaim it was good, but instead, after he finished speaking, the room sank into an awkward silence. Everyone. That's too dangerous, Atai said. You're crazy. What if you don't make it back, then what? Chu Yangxi added, after all, none of us are clear on what abilities devils have, since this is the first time that we're facing one head-on. Amorigin replied, do you still remember that bit when Lu Su was controlled? I have a basis for my reasoning, and saying this, he added, Lu Su. Lu Su was leaning against the railings of the second floor, looking outwards. He replied, unconcernedly, don't ask me, I don't know. Ashina Kyung asked, can we keep on playing this game in such a way? We'll die, right? The Carpiao said, I think their eldest has a death wish. Lu Su sent a glance towards Amorigin, and Amorigin said to everyone, if we time things right, there won't be a problem. I'll go, Lu Su replied from his position in front of the railings. I have experience. Amorigin immediately shot that down. No, no. Lu Su, you are that thread, and you must hold the end of the thread in your hand. You trust me that much? Lu Su asked. Amorigin didn't reply, instead asking everyone, does anyone have any objections? Of course, everyone replied at once. Think of another method. Then you guys think of one. Amorigin was at his wit's end. Lu Su narrowed his eyes, studying Amorigin. Are you for real? Of course. Amorigin's expression was baffled as he stared at the group. Let me and Kyung go, Atai said. We're brothers who grew up together, so no matter how you look at it, our bonds are deeper than yours. But Amorigin replied, not every person has the ability to control dreams. Ashina Kyung said, let me go, and have little Lu enter Taglis' dream. When that time comes, he can wake me. No need for more discussion, Amorigin replied, knowing that no one was coming up with a better idea. The grey wolf and the white deer possessed this ability to begin with, and I trust Lu Su. Everyone was silent for a while longer, before Lu Su said in the end, okay, I'll go with you, but whether it succeeds or not is not certain. It's just, my horns were cut off by you guys, so my power's not strong. If we do fail, don't blame me. Amorigin watched Lu Su, and their gazes met. Chu Yangxi added, if it fails, then we can only wait for Zhenji and Hung Jun to return and forcefully wake you. Amorigin hesitated for a moment, before shaking his head. I have faith that we'll succeed. Yangxi, you must watch Yang Kuozhong carefully. My guess is that he won't be able to wait until the imperial consort's birthday, because as soon as we take away the sacred flame protecting An Lushan's body, he'll immediately act to steal back his Yao Hun. And of course, An Lushan will come searching for us, putting aside everything else to do so. Chu Yangxi replied, you can count on me for that, as defeating a dragon naturally comes with its own techniques. As long as you seal away the sacred flames protecting him, even though it's complicated, it's not completely impossible. The Carpiao was a little creeped out. Your appetites are a little too heavy, BA. In the beginning, this was no more than Amorigin investigating the whereabouts of An Lushan's protective artifact, but instead, Amorigin was planning to catch Yang Kuozhong in his net as well. The only issue was that this plan was very risky, but no matter how they discussed it, they couldn't think of a better method. Taking action was better than sitting there idly, so they each went off to carry out their own tasks. Atai and Ashinakayan were in charge of keeping an eye on Enlushan's every move. As soon as Emorigin found the whereabouts of the protective artifact on him, they would immediately act to steal it. As soon as the sacred flames were stolen, Yang Qiuzhong would immediately sense it, and he would come to search out Enlushan. And Enlushan would steal the sacred flame back the first chance he got, so when that time came, Qiu Yongxi would meddle with the sacred flame. He would use this opportunity to replace it with a fake one, which they would let Enlushan steal back. That would lure Enlushan into a battle with Yang Qiuzhong, and when both sides were heavily injured, they would then activate the seal on the sacred flames. In the end, with all of them joining forces, not only would they be able to get rid of Enlushan, they would also be able to defeat Yang Qiuzhong. Emorigin was very pleased with his idea, and he felt that no matter how he thought about it, this plan was very well crafted. When he went inside to lay down, he asked Lu Su, "Do you think this is too risky?" Lu Su's gaze was complicated as he looked at Emorigin, saying, "Actually, you're pretty smart." "There are always stronger people amongst the strong," Emorigin replied easily. "Zenji's too smart, no one else has had a chance to display their skills, what do I need to think about?" "Think about what has happened in your past that has been the most unforgettable, the most impossible to give up," Lu Su said. "Those memories where, even if you were to head to your death today, you would not be able to forget them. Regrets work, and beautiful dreams will do as well, it doesn't matter if it's about love or hate. You must make sure that no matter where you are, or what time it is, you will be able to remember them." Emorigin nodded and nodded, before closing his eyes. Lu Su reached out a hand and pressed it to Emorigin's forehead. "In the world of 3,000 dreams, within the illusions that are dreams, only your heart contains the truth," Lu Su intoned. A white light shone forth from Lu Su's palm, sinking into Emorigin's forehead. In that instant, a wild wind blew, and on the grasslands that stretched in all directions without an end, thousands of pieces of grass were blown into the air, flying into the sky that was as blue as if it had been washed. A half-grown youth sprinted totteringly across the grasslands, while soldiers clad in armor clashed. War horses raced through a Shiwei village, and flames began to burn. Instantly, the world turned into a sea of fire. Muma. The village had been reduced to burnt rubble, and the youth wailed loudly, searching everywhere. And in the rubble, which was still a little warm, a charred woman's corpse lay quietly. Lu Su immediately pulled his hand away. For a moment, he couldn't control his own breathing. Emorigin opened his eyes, looking towards Lu Su. He winked mysteriously, saying, "Only you saw, so don't tell anyone." "Lu Su." Emorigin pulled Lu Su's hand towards him again, pressing it against his own forehead. The white light once again began to glow. The young him was riding a wolf, with a wolf pack trailing behind as they sprinted across the grasslands. The silver river above was like a waterfall, and the stars twinkled with light. In the long night, he raised his head to look into the sky, while the white deer came bounding gently towards him from the sky above. A long while later, Emorigin woke up. Lu Su pulled his hand back, watching Emorigin fixedly. "It's done." Emorigin let out a long breath. His head hurt a little, and he sat up, thinking deeply for a moment. "Who was that?" Lu Su suddenly asked. "My mother," Emorigin replied, smiling. "You saw her too, right? She was a very beautiful woman." No matter what, Lu Su could not connect that charred corpse with the mother in Emorigin's memories. Why did things happen like that? Lu Su asked uneasily. Emorigin replied, "When my mother gave birth to me, my dad wasn't by my side. I grew up in the Arkun tribe, and they say that the night I was born, almost all of the wolves on the great grasslands came. They surrounded the entire village." Lu Su's eyebrows were furrowed deeply, while Emorigin sat on the bed and undid his outer and inner robes, revealing his bronze torso. He changed into the rough linen robes placed on the table, facing the mirror as he tied his belt, saying to Lu Su in the mirror, "My mom said that the day I was born with a body of wolf fur. It was only later that I shed it. I figure it was because the Yao power hadn't yet finished with the process of reincarnation. The elders all thought that I was a Yaoguai. It wasn't until the entirety of the Arkun tribe fell to the fires of war that I left the Hulun Lake region to the northwest, bringing my mother's token with me as I went to the Shiwei to find my dad. There was an old shaman in the tribe who insisted that I was the reincarnation of the Grey Wolf, and he told me to go into the canyons of Mount Hung." Lu Su said, "But Hung Jun said you have 4 younger brothers." "We're not born from the same mother," Amorigin smiled, using his hands to gesture. "The youngest one is only this big." Usually, Amorigin was always jovial around Lu Su, so Lu Su hadn't expected that he would see such a past in his dreams. "Otherwise, why would I say to have me go?" Amorigin said. "Mara should be pretty interested in my past." "Later, did you get revenge on the people who killed your mother?" Lu Su asked. "Let's go," Amorigin said instead of replying. "Change into those clothes, and we'll set out together." The waves came in rapid succession on the Yellow River, and after leaving the Wei River, the boat began to sway gently. It took Hung Jun a whole day to get used to it. Li Jinglong, on the other hand, hugged Hung Jun and slept from the afternoon of that day until daybreak of the next day. When Hung Jun woke, he stretched, only to find that Li Jinglong had long since woken. He was watching him as he hugged him, but he looked a little grim. "Are you all right?" Hung Jun asked. "Are you all right?" Li Jinglong asked in response. "Does it hurt?" Going in too deeply that third time had caused Hung Jun some discomfort, but aside from that, everything was very good. Hung Jun had never expected that doing such a thing would bring such joy. No wonder people always said that lust was like a double-edged sword, making them sink deeper in even if they tried to get out. That was an experience that had shaken both his heart and his body. Hung Jun felt a small urge to go again, but he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to handle it for a while. Yet, after his thirst retreated, when he and Li Jinglong had held each other, completely bare, exchanging kisses and caresses, that caused him to feel that emotion that was called love. "Are you all right?" Hung Jun repeated. "Why does the color of your face not look so good?" Hung Jun had just witnessed Li Jinglong doing it 3 times yesterday, but he suddenly thought that Li Jinglong's face seemed a little pale. Li Jinglong, however, asked, "Are you kidding? Does Gag look like I've overindulged? Should we go again?" Hung Jun hurriedly begged for them to put it off until tomorrow, and he held down Li Jinglong's hand, smiling as he said, "Actually, I liked the last time the best. It's just that afterwards, it was a little uncomfortable." "Where exactly did you learn it?" Li Jinglong grabbed Hung Jun's hand and pressed it against his own chest, letting him stroke it. "I saw it in an erotic drawing before." "Hung Jun." Li Jinglong kissed Hung Jun again, before rising and saying, "Let me go find something for you to eat." "I don't want to eat," Hung Jun said. "Stay with me and sleep for a while more." Li Jinglong replied, "Be good, after you're full I'll hug you all you want." There's 3 more days until we reach Luoyang, but no matter what Li Jinglong said, Hung Jun kept hugging him and refused to let go. He then licked his lips and moved to lick his nipples. When Hung Jun teased him like that, Li Jinglong's entire body stiffened. "Look, you're not hard anymore," Hung Jun said while grabbing Li Jinglong's thing. "Next time, we can do it several times in a row." Actually, that's because, the color of Li Jinglong's face was a little odd. "Hung Jun." Li Jinglong held out for a while longer, before saying, "I can't, I have to get up." And saying that, he ignored everything else and pushed Hung Jun aside, rising hurriedly to his feet. He swiftly pulled on only his pants before pushing open the door and leaving, climbing up the ladder in bare feet. Hung Jun's expression was one of confusion as he sat on the bed, looking out. Ugh, Li Jinglong threw up. Hung Jun was immediately stunned. No way, was doing that so harmful to the body? On the deck, Li Jinglong held himself up using the side of the ship, vomiting up a stream. Hung Jun, his upper half bare, hurriedly came racing out after him, saying, "It's all my fault. Are you all right?" Li Jinglong. Hung Jun hurriedly stroked his back for him, wondering, did he catch a cold yesterday? Li Jinglong, however, said calmly, "Give me some water. Next time, it's probably better if we don't." No, 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 listen to me, it's not because of that, ugh. The Lord official seasick. Go back, lie down, and rest ba. You'll be fine if you eat food that is a little lighter and less dense, don't eat too much, a worker on the ship shouted at the two of them. Li Jinglong's face was sheet white, and no matter how he planned and calculated, he never thought that he would actually get seasick. Hung Jun, on the other hand, felt that this was very amusing. This was the first time that he had taken a boat, and he had never imagined they would come across such a stumbling block. He had, however, seen this described before in some medical books, so he ran up and down, searching for some plain kanji for Li Jinglong to eat. Li Jinglong's entire being seemed wilted, completely different from his domineering attitude in bed. He could only sit there and eat his kanji. Hung Jun first applied needles to a spot behind his ear, before then combining some of the herbs that the people on the ship were accustomed to using. He stewed the medicine and had him drink it, before laying him down. Li Jinglong felt a sense of deep fatigue, and he also felt as if he had lost all respect. I had originally planned to properly be intimate with you in these coming 2 or 3 days. Li Jinglong was half hungry, but his stomach was roiling, and he had no energy. But as it turns out, I'm actually seasick. Hung Jun chuckled. It's all right, I like it this way as well. When I'm with you, no matter what we're doing, I like it. Though it was already the 4th month in the human realm, the night breeze over the Yellow River was still quite strong. In their blankets, Li Jinglong hugged Hung Jun from behind, and when the two of them raised their heads, they could see the stars shining outside their window. End chapter.